Alright guys, here I'm actually going to change a fuel filter on the 6.7 turbo diesel Cummins motor. It's on a 2014 3500 truck. Fuel filter is on the driver's side, kind of tucked down, so I'm actually using two swivels, one swivel at the bottom and one swivel at the top, so I don't hit this, and I got a little leverage to move around, as you can see. So makes it a lot easier to get in there. So let me go ahead and get that off. Alright, I was able to get that out. The previous time I pulled it out, it actually just pulled out pretty easy. This time it seemed like it was kind of stuck in there, almost like the suction from the liquid. So I used a little pry. Just don't push too much pressure, because obviously you don't want to crack the housing that holds it. One thing I want to show though is, here's a brand new one. Here's the time before, and this is now. It's kind of yellow. This is a Duralast filter. One thing I did notice though, if you look at the OEM filter, on the inside, on top of the filter, it has a small, see that green? That's a screen, that's on the inside. And if you look at these aftermarkets, they don't have that. So they may have the actual regular filter that it has, but that screen on the inside, it doesn't. So that's like kind of an additional protection. So I think I'm definitely going to start sticking with the OEM filters. The dealer's not too close to me, so it would take a little bit of a hike to go get it. So that's the only reason and honestly there was only one Auto Parts that even had it. So you can see the differences in color. I've seen other people do videos, and when they pull their fuel filter out, it's black. It looks like an oil filter. I've never had that problem. This is, like I said, I saved the old one. I wanted to see the difference. So this one's almost looks like, you can see it's supposed to be white. So not sure why it's yellowish. It could be from the fuel additives I put in there. So yeah, now to put the new one in. The one thing you definitely want to make sure that you're doing though is the O-ring. Don't leave the old O-ring on the actual cap. It has an O-ring that goes on the top that this actually seals on. I'll show it when it's actually on there. You do want to replace that, and when you put this lid back on, you do want to make sure that you start up and make sure that it is not leaking. Okay, so there's right way, wrong way, and a cheater way. Okay, so to the left of that little yellow release valve, if you release that, that'll actually take all the gasoline or diesel out of that canister. And then you can put a new one in, and it'll start, from scratch your fuel. Well, when you do that, you actually allow air to get inside the pressure, inside your fuel system. So you have to bump it, and what bumping it means is basically attempting to start it without starting it, and it's kind of releasing that air out of the system. Okay, so my logic of thinking is, if I'm letting that fuel out, yes, it's taking that gas that's out of there, but in reality it's still the same gas that's coming in there. So what I've done, and you can do what you want, is, and I've seen other people do it, is I've left that gas in there and just pushed a new filter in, and now I don't have an issue with air in my fuel lines, and I don't have to bump it or have a hard time restarting my truck. So the other thing I noticed is that right behind that fuel filter is your starter. A little nerve-wracking, because you don't want to dump fuel all over your starter and then try to start it. I heard the old sayings, you can't use diesel to start a fire, you can put a lighter in diesel and it won't start, etc., etc., etc. It's still a little nerve-wracking. So here's the old O-ring here, right on the edge, outer lip of that canister that you want to take off. You see it on the edge. I'll get it off, but you want to take that off. Don't cut corners and leave that ring, because you definitely don't want it to leak. And when you're putting it down, make sure you don't cross thread it, and make sure you get a good tight on there, because if it's not tight when you start it, it will leak. So don't panic. Just shut your truck off and retighten her down. You may even want to back her up and then retighten it back down to make sure you get a nice snug fit. and make sure that that O-ring didn't pinch or move off to the side, and it's sitting flush in that groove like it is now. Alright, so I'll show the next procedure in a second. So the new one's in there. I just took the ring and I push it in by my hand, make sure it's nice and smooth all the way around the edge. It is catching that lip. If you're doing this right after you change oil, some people do like to take some old oil and rub it on that O-ring to prevent dry rotting. It does have a like an oval shape inner plastic that kind of lines up with the filter you've seen in the before footage. So you just want to line that up and push her down. And now to just give her a snide tug fit. Okay, as you can see, it's just back on. I like to actually put her on by hand first, and then along the edges rub my hand to make sure I don't feel the O-ring that moves around or goofy, and then start her up and see if you got any leaks. And like I said, if it leaks, don't panic. Just shut her off and tighten her down a little more, and try not to over tighten it, because the last thing you want to do is crack that housing. Now I'm going to switch the recorder started because it did sputter a little bit. That just means it did get rid of some of the air, but I have no leaks. Nothing's coming out. Now, once you put your hand in there and feel back there, go for it. But I've had it leak before when I didn't have it tight the first time. I was a little scared when I changed it. I don't want to over tighten it in it. You don't know if it's leaking. It'll come out pretty deep. So, nothing's leaking. You're good to go. That's it.